Heartland Hitman's Imperative. We're going to go through another replay. This is going to be a Zerg vs. Terran between Heartland Hitman's Starscreed and Sloot. That's kind of an inappropriate name. Okay, so starting off, Starscreed talked to me before the game. He said his idea for this game was he was going to try to do a Ling Baneling into Mutalisk play against Terran. So what we should be looking for now is we want a 15 hatch to begin with, as you should always against Terran, and we should look for the 16 gas and the 15 pool. So let's kind of cut into this and see where he's going. One thing that Starscreed had done wrong a few times was, in previous games, was he had built a drone at 9 supply. You always want to build that Overlord at 9 supply, or you're going to end up getting supply blocked for about 30 seconds, and in the early game, the only way you can make up any of that time is to do an extractor trick, which is to put a drone as a gas on either side, build 2 more drones, and then cancel the gases, which puts you ahead, but it puts you behind 12 mineral, because it costs 6 mineral per in the difference between cancellation and building. Okay, so we're getting to 13 supply. We have no scout from our Terran player yet, at least from Starscreed's point of view. We should be looking for that sooner. We should start to get worried about some kind of a rush, because you really only can get away with not scouting when you're looking at a rush kind of a situation, when you really need all of the mineral you can pull out of those. So we should be looking. Here's a problem. When you want to build something like a hatchery, you should bring your drone down at 200 supply, and for Protoss and Terran, you should build it, or you should move, if you're going to build it down for Terran or for Protoss, move at 300 supply. Pull the worker at 300 supply, because now we're going to see that Starscreed is going to end up building his hatchery a bit later than he could have. So we'll see what he does here. So now he comes. So we can see that really he's built it, kind of, but we can see it's about 100 minerals late. So this is a pretty substantial amount. So now we're at 16. This drone pull, you can do that, but do it with about 3 drones, and it's still not very good. It's to block scouting, so it's okay. We still have no gas going down for Starscreed. This is a bit of a mistake. You really want that Ling speed out early, especially against Terran now. Very common Terran builds are either Reaper Harass or Hellion Harass. Reaper Harass will actually hit before Pool first could even get Ling speed out. So Ling speed is less important for Reaper aggression defense, but it's very, very important for Hellion aggression defense. And Hellion aggression will come right about 6 minutes, maybe a little earlier if the person's really got their build timing down. And Ling speed is, I believe, a 1-minute upgrade, so really you want to start that as soon as possible so that you have those Lings with speed out, because Lings with speed can fight against Hellions. They can get us around on the Hellions and be cost effective. So we still have no gas going down, so this gas is fairly late. I'll actually be interested to see when he goes gas, especially when you play Mutalisks. You really want that gas as early as possible. You want the first gas early, you want to build some Lings to defend, and then you want to take your 2nd and 3rd gases and get your 4th as you feel fit. Because you really need to start banking gas, because the point of Mutalisk is that you're going to get a bunch out right then, and then you can go harass with them. If you only have 3 or 4 out, a missile tower will completely take care of them. There'll be a useless investment of 400 gas plus the Spire, so 600 gas. And if you have too many, actually, it's a bad investment too, because you have to understand that the Mutalisk really is only effective for the middle game. It has some limited efficacy in the late game as a continued harassment unit or as a way to deal with tanks, but as soon as Thors come out, which should be a fairly standard part of any Terran mech army, or there's enough Marines to counter them, they'll really kind of become useless, and they're not a main army kind of a thing. So now we see this gas going down fairly late. We won't even have enough gas made by the time that we need we need for speed in order to counter a Hellion aggression. Thankfully, our Terran player, as we see, but notice, not Starscree, he's come in a little earlier, he sees 2 barracks, now we know that there are 3. This is okay that he didn't scout this like this. Really 2 barracks kind of signals that it's going to be a bio play, which is much more standard. So we see we're starting to go, or our Terran player is starting to go into upgrades. This is all very standard. He has not taken his expansion, which really is an important bit of scouting information that Starscree doesn't know, because he's playing 2 base against 1 base. So this is a very big deal that he really needs to kind of be aware of. We also don't have the 2nd or 3rd or 4th gas down. We really do need those quicker. You'll see that we won't even have enough gas to start our layer when we want it. Against Terran, you really want to start your layer at about 7 minutes and 15 seconds to about 7 minutes and 30 seconds. So we really need that gas out a little bit earlier. There's not a lot at this point that we can do with this much mineral without gas. You could expand again, which would be a reasonable thing to do in this situation as Starscree, but really he should be dropping down these 3 gases, and he should be trying to bank on some gas right now so that he can get that layer, so that he can get that spire, so that he can get ling speed. We still don't see ling speed going down. He's decided to use the first bit of gas as a baneling nest. This is a reasonable idea. Even banelings without speed, as long as you have some creep spread, they'll move fast enough to get reasonable hits on a marine-based army. Notice, not a marauder-based army and not a tank army. A marine army. So this is okay. This layer really needs to be coming out right now. He's already got the 100 gas for it, and it's already very, very late. So like I said, the gases in this layer, you should really try to shoot for a layer at 7 minutes 15 seconds. It should just be kind of your goal build. We still see weak injects. These are a bit delayed. He's getting better at this. I've watched some of his earlier replays. He's getting better. There are no defensive banelings already made. And I'd like to pause for a second and just take a look at Starscree's view of the map. I talked about this in my other video today. Overlords are not only a little bit of a necessary unit, they're also a really big boon. What you can do with these overlords is, instead of kind of putting them off to the corners of the map, you can take them. He could put this overlord on this high ground, and all of a sudden this gateway to attack has been scouted. He could take these 2 overlords and put them here and here, and all of a sudden this gateway to attack and this gateway to attack into his 3rd have been denied. So already we can see that he could have much more of the map covered as long as he just moves these overlords. This one I won't pick on, it's fine, but it needs to be an overseer, and it needs to be scouting into this base some more, because as he sees, from what he's seen, there's very little that we can assume about the type of bio that's being played by our opponent here. And as we can see, we actually have 2 starports and a factory coming out. This factory is going to be getting a tech lab, so we should be, looking for some biomech play. So we'll be seeing primarily, especially with this only 1 tech lab and 2 reactors, and this is a bit of a mistake on our Terran player's part. He should be incorporating some marauders. They're very important, especially against banelings, because they don't have that light armor tag that causes the banelings to do extra damage. But we really should be expecting some tanks in here. We should be expecting some medevacs. We might get some drops. So this attack is actually coming at a very, very good time, and just kind of what should be going through our head right now. So what we're working on is, we still haven't started our layer. We have our macro hatch down. We could actually right now, with what we've seen from our Terran player, be on at least 3 bases, maybe even 4. I would be on 4 personally. We should spread these, but what we're looking at, no saturation on this, no gases here, we see that our Terran player here has not had 2 bases We've had 2 bases since about 4 minutes into the game. So there have been about 6.5 minutes that we've been on a much stronger economy. So what we can say here is, and what I believe Starscreed will do, we have about 70 lings here. Oh, 55 lings here. We can take half of those, say, let's just say 25, make them into banelings, and we could do what's called a baneling bust, and just funnel our banelings, focus down the supply depot, and kill these Marines. We need to just push, we need to try to force our opponent into a situation where he's even less comfortable than he is right now. Or what he could do is he could say, I'm going to just leave one Zergling, and then I'm going to take the rest of these back, and I'll just go back, and I'm going to say that I'm going to take at least 1, maybe 2 bases, and I'm just going to play to eat the map and just kind of take as much map control as possible, which really, with a plan of Mutalisks give excellent map control. You look at unit compositions. Things like Marauder, they're quick. They can get across the map, especially with Medivacs and the new speed boost. They can get across the map. They can put pressure anywhere. They can do a counterattack, even though they may not have been planned out as a counterattack. They can do all of these things that force us into a position where we're less comfortable. In addition, or on the contrary, our Lings can do the same. They're a very fast unit, especially once you've completed speed. Mutalisks are a very fast unit. They regenerate well. They're very good at harassment. They apply a lot of pressure onto the map, onto our opponent, to constrict himself, to turtle in, and just kind of make static defense. And what we can do to exploit those static defenses is, instead of trying to pound through static defense, which static defense is there to be better than mobile defense, and to be better than most attacking. So your attacks will be very inefficient against a static defense. What you should do instead is you should look at the map and you should say, okay, well, I own the map. How many bases can I take? How much longer can I keep him on the number of bases that he's on right now? And just make sure that by the time I need to actually attack him, I can remax 7 or 8 times on the best units that I can possibly make, and really just have a convincing victory. So let's see what Starscreed decides to do here. So he's seen this. He's pooling his Lings together. We see Banelings starting to be made, so we are going for a Baneling bust. I disagree with the number. 9 Banelings will actually only get through, I believe it takes 4 to kill a supply depot. No, that math is incorrect. 6 to kill a supply depot. So we'll really only have 3 to deal with the Marines, and our Terran player actually already, oh, he doesn't actually see. Okay, so this will be even better. Now he will see. So we're going to see about getting some hits on these Marines. See, we just barely killed the supply depot, and these Lings will not do much, especially against this choke. So if we look at our units lost tab, we've killed 8 Marines for 54 Lings for 1,800 resources, and the only thing we killed here is minerals. So we need to be very careful about losing gas. So with 9 Banelings, we lost 225 gas. We need to be very, very careful about gaining back that gas in killing his units. So we need to kill something, SCVs, that will take away from his income. We need to kill Marauders. We need to kill the Medivacs, something that we can regain the gas. Because, to be honest, minerals are an important resource, but they're very abundant comparatively to gas. So any gas that we can actually take away from the Terran player will really starve him, especially on this one base economy. So let's see what Starscreed decides to do from here. We've still not taken this layer. This layer is horribly late. He's staying way too long on Ling Baneling. And we actually don't even have centrifugal hooks researched because there's no layer down. So we only have slow Banelings. He's taking a ninja base, is what this is called. And we have a doom drop coming from our Terran player. So again, just if you don't know, a doom drop is kind of the colloquial term for any drop that's typically more than 2 Medivacs full of units. and it's designed to take a majority of the Terran player's army and just put it in the enemy's main base, kill tech, kill worker supply, just kind of do so much economic damage that even if you lose those units, you're still in a better position than your opponent. So now Starscream, right here, sees that this drop is coming in. So what his reaction should be is to just pull these lings and put them right here so that as soon as each Marine comes out, these will be right there to greet them. Another important note is we have no upgrades other than speed from our Zerg player. He has stim, he has combat shields, he has level 1 upgrades on attack. These upgrades are incredibly important for Zerg. You need to have upgrades, even just attack, even carapace, melee attack, even if you plan on transitioning later in the game. Really, really need these upgrades as soon as possible. Another reason that this layer needs to come out faster. So we see he has not pulled yet. He did try to scout in a little bit with this Overlord. It was denied. And now this attack comes, and he's responded fast enough to make sure that he has lings there. I believe this should be cleaned up fairly well. There's no pickup by our Terran player, so there's no real worry for continued aggression. I'm just going to turn down the sound because this is the recent glitch. We'll turn it on to like 4. Perfect. So there's no real worry that we should have as the Zerg player about a continued aggression, about him just coming around and dropping at our natural and then dropping at a 3rd. So we can be fairly confident that that's kind of the end of his aggression right there. So Starscream should turn around and say that, okay, I just killed 32 Marines, which is going to be, what is it, 1,500 mineral, and I'm just going to go and I'm going to really kind of, put my foot down and say that, you've just lost so much that I can make this counterattack, and I really think you will be prepared for it. On the other hand, this static defense, or semi-static defense of these tanks, really, really cost-effective against lings. They really don't get anywhere. These needed to at least be banelings if you wanted to make some kind of a bust to kill these Marines. So he kind of understands that. He makes the banelings. An interesting note about morphing lings into banelings, we can see that some of these lings are at half or lower health. They've been wounded. As soon as you morph a Zerg unit into an upgraded unit, it actually regains all of its health. This works on Overlords as well. It's a very interesting mechanic. So all of these will become full health, and he can try to bust down this Terran wall. So we can see they're all full health now. Our Terran player is going to use a medevac for vision. And we're waiting for the extra lings. This is actually a very good play by Starscream. We need to be saturating this mineral patch. A good idea now would be to try to push this Overlord this way, kind of come up this way and around in to try to give us vision, to try to see that this side is where the Marines are, that this side is where the tanks are, that we want to push those banelings up instead of down, because baneling hits on tanks are very, very ineffective. In our base, we can see that we finally almost completed our spire. Another thing that we can do with these tanks is actually just wait it out and kind of use these to lock his Marines into where they are, because we're just outside of these tank ranges. And you can check this by just moving a ling in and just kind of see where it initially gets hit. So you know that you're out of tank range because you've just morphed these in. So you can take this as much time as you want. It's kind of up to him to move his tanks now. And as soon as they become on siege, they're very, very vulnerable to those lings. So we can just wait on the spire, and we can take our lings, and like I've said in my other video, the mutas, by killing the tanks, make the lings more cost-effective, and the banelings, by killing the Marines, make the mutas more cost-effective. So you should really try to get your units to work together like this. You can take in, we'll have enough money for 13 mutalisks off the bat. We won't have enough supply, but this is another issue. So we can make 10 mutalisks off the bat. We can say, I'm going to come in, I'm going to really try to kill those tanks fast, and then I'm going to run my banelings in and just try to get those Marines down, and then I'll have essentially won the game at this point, because it's a one-base economy. So let's see. And Starscreed does decide to wait. He's just kind of hiding his lings. And we see in production, we have 6 mutalisks. I actually misjudged the muta supply. So we have another 10 in production right now. So we have our mutalisks coming over, and I think Starscreed is going to do just that. He's going to end up finding that there are missile towers here to defend. What he should try to do is try to sneak them in this way, maybe try to just snipe one tank while this missile tower waits, or he could lead in with these banelings. I'm not sure I agree with the lead in with the banelings, because these tanks will do significant damage to your baneling numbers. So let's see what he decides to do here. Okay, so he's building up muta numbers so that he can come in and deal with these tanks before a significant number of mutas have died, and now he pushes his banelings in. So let's see how many hits he can get. He really doesn't get any hits on the banelings, and he loses all of the mutalisks. This was a really, really big mistake. He has taken 2 of the tanks down, which normally isn't a very significant deal, but right now it is, because he's on this low economy. We see him remaxing right now, trying to build some more mutalisks, trying to get some lings out. He should look to take banelings. And just an important note, really, the scouting is such a big deal, because you'll find that things like this, you can kill all of these workers that would end the game right now. You can deny this base, you can kill this base as it's upgrading into an orbital, which actually should be a planetary. Just little things like that. Your scouting needs to be good. You need to have that overlord spread instead of just kind of clumping them up on the sides to do nothing. Let them go out there on the map, let them be useful. One thing that I am actually really liking right now from Starscreed, the typical way to take bases is 3, then 4 here. When you're looking at your army versus your opponent's army, your bases should actually be located based on your mobility versus his mobility. So because you see the tanks, because you see that he's kind of locked into his base right now, you should take bases on opposite corners of the map, so that if he attacks one, there's all this room that you can have to defend. There's all this other base on the other side, and it's not easy for him to just kind of make an attack path. 4 come down through here, 3 natural main, and he doesn't have this easy time moving between your bases, while you do, because you have this creep spread, you have ling speed, you have quick mutalisks. So this is actually a very good decision on the part of Starscreed to position his bases effectively against the army that he's facing. So we see our Terran player is quickly running out of gas that he has, and he's not taking gas here. So really, we're Starscreed to know this. We should be pushing to kill those tanks, we should be pushing to kill those medevacs, because any gas we can starve him of, especially now, is going to be crucial. So we see kind of a massing of units here. This is a scary number of units, and I believe Starscreed will make some of these into banelings. He really needs them. The centrifugal hooks upgrade should be researched very soon, as it's very important in getting proper baneling hits, especially when there's tanks involved, because you can move the banelings so much faster with the centrifugal hooks. They'll move past the tanks, and they'll be able to get those key hits onto banelings. So right now we've caught 2 of the Terran's tanks on siege, we've caught this base, we've cancelled it. This is very good. We need to move our mutalisks in if possible. These Marines will easily clean up those lings. So really, right now, this is a perfect play, as it doesn't seem like it, but we've lost a lot of minerals, no gas, while our Terran player has lost 2 tanks, which is 250 gas. That is 250 gas that he now has to replace, and actually can't yet. So this is a key play right now for Starscreed. So we see him moving up, getting some more lings, producing a bunch more. He's gotten the attacks upgrade and the carapace upgrade for his mutalisks to help the efficacy of those units. And keep in mind that upgrades are really an investment that makes all of your units worth more. It's like getting, for mutalisk, it's like getting a 150 unit for 100. You're really getting a lot more out of every unit by buying those upgrades. So it's a good investment to make if you can. So we see he's cleaning up the mining base. If we pause and look at the income tab, no income on minerals for our Terran player. This is a key move by Starscream to take out that mining base. And now we already know what his unit composition looks like. It looks like it's heavy Marines and essentially no Marauders. It's a couple of siege tanks. It's really not anything we can't deal with. We should try morphing in Banelings. We should move our Lings back, morph in Banelings, and move these mutas so that they can deal with the tanks. Ling versus Marine engagements, especially now with the upgrades that our Terran player has, just Terran Infantry Weapons 1, the Lings will not trade efficiently with Marines, especially not a Bioball like the one he has, so we really do need to make those into Banelings. So we do have 24 Banelings coming out for our Zerg player right now. Our injects are a little bit late. We have some idle drones here. We're getting maybe a little too much into research that we're not going to use later with these upgrades, and we've taken the wrong one. Just a quick note. Carapace upgrades for Mutalisks are almost always more important than attack upgrades. Carapace is more effective on Mutalisks in any case where they will be getting hit. So taking the attack upgrade first is actually a fairly important mistake that you can make. The Carapace upgrade will help, and it makes mutas. They've done tests. I've watched this. An equal number of Mutalisks with +1 attack versus the same number of Mutalisks with +1 defense. The +1 defense Mutalisks come out about 4 Mutalisks ahead, and it applies to everything. It applies to those missile turrets. It applies to Marines. It applies to everything. You really want to take those Carapace upgrades first. So now we see Starscream expanding in the correct direction again. This is great play. Okay, so now all in all we have 42 Banelings. This is a scary number of Banelings. But notice we do actually have centrifugal hooks, so these will be fast Banelings, and our creep spread is really truly fantastic right now. Okay, and good. Starscream makes a slight mistake there in focusing that base with these Banelings. You really don't want to hit structures with Banelings when there's Marines or anything around. They're really not quite as effective against structures, despite their, I believe they have a slight bonus in attack. Yeah, so we really don't get much out of the Terran's Bioball. On the other hand, we do again kill his main mining base. One of only 2 that he has right now, while we're on about 3 or 4 base economy. 2.5, we're saturating the 3rd base. So we're in a really great economic position for this Terran right now. So now we have a push moving across the map with another 57 Banelings. This is just kind of showcasing what can happen when you've taken 5 bases and you have this massive bank, and your Terran player has really truly been turtling. You know, people tell me all the time, you know, Imperative, I have all this trouble against turtling Terrans. They're so annoying. You know, I try to make these attacks and they're not really working. Don't attack. You can make attacks like Starscream's doing, where you're not investing too much, and then once you've eaten the map, which is what I like to call just taking all of these bases that you've had, and you've really secured map control, and you're, you know, 100% ahead on income, then you can really try to make these attacks, because then you can be inefficient with your units and you can still come out ahead because you're just so far ahead. So let's watch this. Ideally, these Banelings won't hit the tanks. I believe he is going to just kill the tanks. This is okay. He has enough Banelings that he can do this. He needs to move these Banelings in right now into these Marines, and that should be game. At this point, the Terran really doesn't have any defense left, despite the fact that we don't really have Banelings left. So we really, at this point, with 21 Mutalisks, even with these missile turrets, we can kill the missile turrets, we can kill the tanks. An interesting note, we're going to slow down and we're going to watch, just there again, here. You notice that the missile turret will always target the forward Mutalisk. There's an interesting micro that you can do, especially at higher levels if you have the time, if you have the APM to do it. Send one Mutalisk in first on purpose and have it fly straight past the missile turret, and then send your Mutalisks in right after it. And it'll target that, and you'll get your Mutalisk out before it dies, and the missile turret will most of the time have already died. So we're going to lose a Mutalisk here. It's not really important. We're going to lose another one because none of his buddies are there to support him. We can see that he's not going to lose anymore. We're going to move these Banelings in, and this really is game. the Terran player has no income, he has no units, he doesn't really have enough of a bank to produce anything. So just to go through some of the great things that was weird. 16 Banshees, this is completely unimportant. It was kind of a weird, cheesy play by our Terran once he's realized he's lost. Couple things that I really liked. He took bases based on his army. You take bases across on different sides of the map if you are ahead, or if you have a more mobile army. And he's done a very good job with creep spread, and he's done a very good job with unit composition for what he's dealing with. On the other hand, his layer was very late, his gases were late. This is mostly a build order mistake. He doesn't really have saturation full on some of these things. He has some idle workers, he's done that. He didn't research any upgrades for ground units at all during the entire game, and his injects were really lacking. But these are all things that will come with higher level play, and that you should focus on to bridge that gap between silver and gold, or gold and platinum, or even masters to grandmasters. Unless you're hitting 100% of your injects all the time, you're getting perfect creep spread, those kinds of things, there's always room for improvement, and those are great places to look for it. You can always inject better, you can always creep spread better, and the other big one is you can always scout better. So let's just go through very quickly. You want Overlord spread, drone scout early in the game just to check that this is a barracks here, and if you don't see a barracks here, it's a proxy barracks and you need to defend that. You need to just kind of be looking for those bases in weird places, and really know at all times kind of where your opponent is going, especially against Terran, because Terran right now, their whole point is to do things without the opponent being able to react, before they can react, without them scouting. And if you can scout, if you can get that perfect reactive composition as they hit, you will win. And you'll always, you'll continue to win as long as you can scout that and make the correct composition. Okay, again, I'd like to thank Stars Cree from Heartland Hitmen, great clan. I'd like to thank him for his replay, for letting me go over this to analyze it for you guys. This has been Heartland.